Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. So I figured I'd do a quick video here about the ratchets that I use and which ones I like, which ones have worked out for me, and which ones I don't really use very often and haven't worked out for me. So here's kind of my collection of ratchets. Now this is minus any of my half-inch drive stuff. I only have a couple half-inch drive ratchets, and I don't have any of my breaker bars or any of that stuff here. But probably my two main go-to ratchets are this guy right here. This is the Husky with the 1/4 and the 3/8. I really like this because if you're trying to get a bolt and it wants to turn both ways, you can sneak down the back side of this guy with a couple fingers, kind of hold it in place there so it'll ratchet. Or if you have room, you can even stick a socket on the back there that's got some knurling and use that to kind of hold it. But this, I just find this guy really fast, you know, to zip bolts in and out with. And I have pretty good hand strength, so it being short's not too big of an issue usually. But my other most used ratchet has turned out to be this really long one. This is the Carlisle. This is a flex head. I kind of did a first look on this when I first bought it. It's really nice and fine toothed. It's got a really small, kind of lower profile head. You got your gear selector here. It's got the push button for the flex head, and then it's got the push button socket release. I have to say that this ratchet has just held up extraordinarily well. It's just really, you know, I've used it as a hammer more than once. I've stood on it. I've put so much torque on it that I was sure I was going to break it. And it's taken every bit of it. It still comes out looking good. I normally clean it off with brake clean. It's kind of dirty right now. This doesn't seem to be affected by chemicals or brake clean. You can see it's getting a little beat up there. But yeah, I use my tools to get things done. I don't necessarily worry about them staying pretty. So I also have this little snap-on here, but it's an older one and it's not very fine-tooth. But sometimes if I gotta grab something and I just need an extra ratchet with a socket on it, I'll grab that sucker and use it. But mostly it just stays in the drawer because it's a snap-on, I guess. This is one that I believe, was it Mark Fox gave to me with a bunch of tools. I really don't use this that much. The concept of the zero turn is really nice, but it actually does have some kind of back drag to it for being zero turn. It's got some hangy spots, but I mean, I guess it's a neat concept. It's just not been one that I use. And mostly because look at how wide the head is on this thing. And then you got the selector and the push button on top. And I don't know, I just don't find a lot of places that I want to get into with this big ratchet. And I like having some leverage. So if I need leverage, I grab the big one. If I'm going to do a job where the width of the head's not a problem, I grab this guy. Maybe I'll try using this a little more and see what I think, but I just haven't used it a whole lot. This is just a Stanley 3/8 drive. This was probably this wasn't really one of my first ratchets, but I've had this like 20 years now. It's a basic ratchet with a nice push button release. I mean, it gets the job done. Not super fine tooth, but it is definitely fine enough. It gets the job done. This little gear wrench, 120 XP, is another one Mark Fox gave me. And this is a really nice ratchet. I mean, it's very low back drag, very fine tooth, very low profile head. It's got a really nice, positive engagement flex head that won't slip out of place on you. It's a nice ratchet. I can say I just don't use it that much. I really like the push button release for a socket. My hands, I get greasy, and I don't like fighting to get sockets off. But I mean, I have used it, and it's a good ratchet. If you don't mind not having the push button release, I think this is a fine choice for a little 1/4 inch ratchet. I actually use this one quite a bit when I need just a little more leverage, because it is just a hair longer than the Carlisle. Again, it's a Stanley. These were $20 at Walmart. It's not the best. You can see it's got some back drag there. But it's a good basic ratchet. Has a push button release. Has a flex head. When you can get it to work, you got to push one of these buttons, and it's getting to where it doesn't want to push. Sometimes there it goes, and then that unlocks, and then it locks back in place. But I can tell you, if we really start, getting some sideways torque on that lock does not hold. It will slip. But if I need a little more torque, I'll still grab this guy. As far as durability, I've put this thing through quite a bit, and it's held up to every bit of it. So not a terrible ratchet. It gets the job done, I guess. But not real fine tooth, but enough to get the job done. But I really would prefer this little Carlisle. This one here is my first Carlisle, which is just like its bigger brother in the 3/8 drive. It's just a 1/4 inch drive one. And when I used this, I loved it so much, I had to buy this. But this is another one Mark Fox gave me. And yeah, you can tell by the handle, I've used the crap out of this ratchet. I use it a lot. And it is just a little longer than the gear wrench, so you get just a little bit more leverage. So this little guy right here is just a hex driver ratchet. I've used the crap out of this too, getting in confined spaces where you need to get like a star bit down in there. I used it working on that Porsche to do the wiper motor and stuff. It's been a handy tool to have. This was like, I want to say, probably $10 or something at AutoZone. It's a Titan. It doesn't actually say Titan on it, but it was a Titan. No, I take that back. This is the Titan. We'll get to that in a minute. This came from Tractor Supply. It's like kind of a no-name. But it's been really handy when I've needed it. So with that, we'll go to this one. This is another tool that's been super handy. This is the Titan that you can get for AutoZone for like 10 or 12 bucks. It's a real little tiny 1/4 inch drive. You can see all that there. It does have a push button release on it, believe it or not. It's real nice. It's pretty smooth action. I mean, it's a nice little ratchet. And I would have never got the heater mode control cable changed out in that PT Cruiser without this little guy. It's just come in handy on a lot of places like that where you need a little leverage, but you just don't have room to get a full ratchet down in there. And I like that it's got this offset handle, so you can get some fingers under it without scraping up knuckles too bad. This I don't use terribly often, but when I need it, it comes in super handy. This is another one from AutoZone. This is a Powerbilt. I just saw this one day and picked it up. It's got a bit driver on this side, and it's got a 3/8 drive on this side, and you can change the direction here with this little guy, or in the middle we'll lock it so it doesn't turn either direction. This is so handy when you got one of those bolts that you're trying to get out, but you just can't quite get a ratchet down in there, but you want to turn it. And it's very, there's like no back drag on this thing. It's super fine tooth, easy action mechanism, which is what you need a lot of times in this situation, because you're on a bolt you can't quite turn with your fingers, and you can't quite get a ratchet down in there, but you can get that down in there and work it out. I use this when I did that timing belt on the Honda 3.5. Come in handy for a couple of those bolts. So again, something really cheap, but really helps. Here's just a Stanley 1/4-inch drive ratchet. Not real fine tooth, not real low profile. Does have a push button release. The direction changing mechanism is pretty stiff on it. Just not a great ratchet, but good enough. This one's actually a new one. I had these two came in a set together. It's bigger brother than in the 3/8. The 1/4-inch is not as nice as the 3/8 is even. But I warrantied out the original 1/4-inch drive one a couple years ago, and I got this one to replace it. This one at least doesn't change directions. The problem I was having with that other one is you'd be ratcheting and it just changed direction on you. This tool I learned about from Andrew the mechanic from watching one of his videos. This is a 3/8 drive ratchet and a 1/4-inch drive, a little low profile body. Still has the push button release. I love it. Little direction changer that's real smooth and easy to operate there. And they put a little recess spot there where that selector is, so you can really, get your finger down in there and work that. But this comes in super handy when you need to get in a tight spot. In combination with some low profile sockets, this has got me in a few spots that would have been difficult otherwise. And these have come in handy as well. This one, the little ball has fallen out of it, which is still fine. In fact, I kind of like it that way, because you can kind of put the socket on and slide this in the back and just get a turn. Sometimes you're just in that spot where you just need to get one turn on a bolt or something to get it started or whatever. This can really get down in some super low profile places with a low profile socket. And then I've got in the 1/4-inch drive here as well. Why they still made the head just as big on the 1/4-inch, I don't know, but they did. But again, really good for just certain situations. And these were like dirt cheap, like $5 for the two of them or something, and they had them in the bins up at the front of AutoZone. So that's kind of my collection of my most used ratchet, minus 1/2-inch drive stuff. That's what I use to wrench, every weekend and most evenings on cars, especially in the summer. Dead of winter, not so much, but this is what I use fixing cars all the time. And while I guess I'm not a professional mechanic, I don't have a shop. I'm not ASE certified because I haven't done my 2 years at a shop. Passing the tests would be easy, but you can't. They won't even let you take the test. You can prove you've worked as a professional in the automotive industry for so many years or whatever. Otherwise, I bought the books. I read them, took all the practice questions, and I got just about every one of them right. I could probably pass the test, but it's not something I want to do for a living anyway. I just wanted to see what was in the books. I really, I guess use my tools a lot, and this is what I use. Like I said, I'm not a professional mechanic, but this is becoming a significant part of my income. I've taken a job here where I make a little less money, so I'm wrenching a little more, and it's a great way to make extra money to provide for my family, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. And it's also a great way to be able to help people out that are in a tough situation and either do it really cheap for them or even sometimes do it free for them. But I'm trying to do less of that just because I have to buy all these tools. I have to buy scan tools, and I want to get a scope. I have to buy all this stuff and have it, and I have to charge something when I use it or use my tools to cover the cost of them and to be able to buy more when they break and get better tools so I can fix more stuff. So I'm trying not to do just freebie jobs anymore. I'm trying to charge something, but I usually charge a lot less than any shop would. But I don't have insurance and a building and a lift and electricity and all this overhead and all that stuff either. So I understand why shops charge more. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.